In the next series of lectures, we'll be talking about processing conflict with your teenagers. Processing conflict with your teenagers. And you might ask the question, what is conflict? Conflict is a serious disagreement, typically a protracted, serious disagreement. And in many homes, this is the order of the day. But let me say to you that this ought not to be the order of your day in the raising of your teenagers. You see, many teenagers are committed to making their life work without reference to God or to anyone else. They are the center of their lives. They consider this to be independence. The parents consider it to be rebellion. The question is, who is right? What is rebellion? Typically, rebellion can be defined as resistance to authority. It can also be defined as an inclination to resist authority, a feeling or demonstration of anger or revulsion. Within rebellion, there's an expression of anger. There's a pushback. There is a wall that is cast between the person rebelling and the person against whom they are rebelling. How do teenagers typically express their rebellion? The biggest emotion in rebellion is anger. They see themselves as the only authority that they need to answer to. Yes, they know and love their parents and have been responding to them when they were younger, but now they're gaining a voice. They're gaining the body size of an adult. They are transforming and transitioning in their thinking from the concrete thinking of children into the formal thinking of the adult. They are in that transition stage. There are things they know in much more detail than they knew when they were younger. They have also begun to figure out the weaknesses of their parents, and they want to push back to be able to get their way. Now, I mentioned that anger is the emotion that's being expressed in rebellion. But what's going on behind the scenes? Here's a phrase that I'd like you to remember. Whenever you see rebellion, ask yourself, what's the need behind the deed? Typically, a person who is rebelling against authority is experiencing some pain. Your teenager is in pain. The pain is not evident on the outside, but the pain that's on the inside is expressing itself externally, and the parent is experiencing the rebellious actions. This expression of pain is not limited to the teenager. Even adults who are in pain will also express anger. And some of the parents will spew out the anger on their teenagers. Some of them will stuff it in, both of which are terrible ways of dealing with anger or dealing with pain. You need to study it. You need to be able to process it and come to the place of understanding the origin of your anger. And so, can a teenager's rebellion be challenged in a redemptive way? The answer to this question must be a yes. The only question is how. Now, what can a parent do when a teenager is expressing anger, when a teenager is pushing back, when a teenager is resisting authority? Remember, they are doing this because they are in pain. And the first thing the parent needs to do is to enter the pain of their teenager. Enter the pain. That presupposes that you understand the origin of that pain and that you're willing and able to enter it. If you're not willing, that's a problem. If you're not able, these lectures will help you to determine how to be able. The teenager is putting up a wall against you. Remember, whoever puts up the wall is the only one who can bring it down. So your job as a parent is to create a safe environment on your side of the wall that allows the teenager to lower that wall and resume the communication. You need to do this no matter how you feel about the teenager's expression And no matter how the teenager expresses themselves, remember, this is your child. Remember that you want to resolve the issue, but you want to retain the relationship. So you need to enter the teenager's pain no matter how badly it was expressed, no matter who was there when it was being expressed and got you really, really embarrassed. You need to invite your teenager to share their pain, and you need to create an environment that allows them to share that pain without feeling condemned. So I've said to you that parents need to enter the pain of their teenagers. But what can a teenager do? The teenager wants an environment where they can honestly express themselves. Teenagers need to learn that they can express themselves to parents without being criticized, without being condemned, without being judged. They need to be able to express the deep desires of their hearts, even if the desires are not in agreement with what the parent desires for them. This is the only way that you can know what's going on in the heart of the teenager. Think about yourself and the way you relate to God. You go to God after doing something horrible and you confess to Him. Now, confessing doesn't mean repeatedly saying, I'm sorry. Yes, that's part of it, but confession is telling God what happened. God already knows what happened, but in you expressing it to Him, you get it off your chest, so to speak, but God also gets to connect with you knowing that you are indeed remorseful and sorry for what you have done. A teenager wants that kind of environment where they can express themselves, where the parent can listen carefully. The parent is not condemning or judging, but is listening and taking it in. And when the teenager has finished expressing themselves, then the parent can begin to talk. The teenager wants to know that they are loved no matter what. The teenager can understand that their behavior can change how they relate to the parent, but they need to know that while there is change in relationship, the love is a constant. They want to know that, and the parent can create that environment for the teenager to be able to enjoy.